The Apple Watch Series 7 is a very interesting Apple Watch, and pretty soon this is going to be replaced by the brand new upcoming Series 8, and possibly the brand new edition of the Apple Watch lineup, the Apple Watch Pro. But I know a lot of people always ask themselves the same exact question, that is, should you even upgrade from your current Apple Watch to the latest and greatest? And so today's video, I'm going to go ahead and answer that question, as I have put together a tier list, as we're going to go ahead and talk about all the internal specs from the previous generation Apple Watches. Yes, I do have every single Apple Watch version known to man right here on my table. To make a fair comparison against every single Apple Watch, talk about its internal specs, to finally give you an idea if it's time for you to upgrade from your Apple Watch to the current latest and greatest, which is right now the Series 7, but the next few months will be the Series 8, so I'm probably going to make an update video for this in the near future, very soon. But when we take a look at the older Apple Watches, honestly, are still extremely modern and very irrelevant. So it's really hard to even decide if you really need to upgrade or not. Because let's be real, if I was on the Series 5, I'll be perfectly fine. A little spoiler there, but yeah. So with that said, let's go ahead and get started. So here's our little tier list that we have going on. Let's go ahead and start off with the Series 7000, better known as the Series 0. Yes, that was the official name of this Apple Watch if you look back here. This watch was extremely unique because not only was this the first Apple Watch ever to be released in the market, but it also had some very interesting specs that blew third-party smartwatches away, as Apple Watch was easily dominating the competition. So this Apple Watch was released back in April of 2015. And the latest firmware update that this watch supported was watchOS 4. So it's really old. It was not water resistant, as it would not be able to withstand 50 meters, and only had two screen sizes to choose from, 38mm and a 42. It was indeed an OLED Apple Watch, which during that time, that was pretty advanced for any smart wearable. The nits brightness was only able to get up to 150, so in an outdoor situation, the screen was extremely dim. And it does have Bluetooth support, as it was indeed enabled to connect via Bluetooth because it had Bluetooth 4. This Apple Watch was rated to have a all-day battery. And internally, the storage and the RAM, storage capacity was only 8 gigabytes and the RAM was only 512 megabytes. The CPU on the first generation Apple Watch was still unknown because Apple was still trying to figure out what to name their lineup, but it was a single core, nothing too impressive. It did have some unique features like the accelerometer and a heart rate sensor. And if I had to put this on our chart, I would honestly rank this rank F because it's just unusable. So if you still are using a Series 0, I highly recommend upgrading because the performance and stuff, it's extremely laggy. It's just a headache to operate. Now moving along, the next generation Apple Watch was the Series 1, and here it is. It was released in 2016 in December. And the last firmware update that was supported was watchOS 6, so it had a good run. It was not able to withstand 50 meters underwater for 30 minutes like a modern day Apple Watch, but still came available in two screen choices to choose from, 38 and a 42mm. It was a Retina OLED this time for this display. That was able to go up to 450 nits. And was still able to achieve an all-day battery rating. This one indeed got a CPU upgrade, and now it was actually a dual-core processor. And storage capacity was 8 gigabytes with 112 megabytes of RAM. Now it does feature a gyro sensor as well as an accelerometer, but this was the first time that Apple was actually integrating commands and dictation to their smartwatch. But aside from that, they only received a small bump in CPU performance, which gave it the ability to do dictation. Everything else is similar to the Series 0. So with that said, for the Series 0, I'm honestly going to rank this an F as well. It's just not usable. The Series 2, and here it is. Now this one, you may have noticed my screen is beat up slightly, but still operating properly. But just like the Series 1, watchOS 6 was the last firmware update that this Apple Watch supported. However, this was water resistant up to 50 meters for 30 minutes. And even though this is still a Retina OLED display, this one actually got a peak bump in brightness in nits, as this one was rated to go up to 1000 nits, which is very modern in today's day. Bluetooth 4 was standard, and chipset, this one actually had an S2 chipset inside. This was when Apple just started doing the S series chipset lineup. for their naming schemes. And this was also the first time when Apple introduced GPS integrated in these Apple Watches, where in the past they relied on the iPhone GPS. This one had access to it internally, independently. But aside from that, the other features like the accelerometer, heart rate sensor, but since it has GPS, I'm gonna go ahead and put this in the E category, just because internally it has its own dedicated GPS. Now moving along is the Series 3, which this thing actually had an impressive long run. I swear, this watch actually was discontinued at one point and then brought back to life. Because this Apple Watch was released back in 2017 and just now got discontinued once more. Just unfortunately, the latest firmware update that this Apple Watch will support is watchOS 8. The upcoming watchOS 9 is no longer on the compatibility list, so this watch is being discontinued. It does have a water and dust resistant rating, which means this watch can actually withstand water up to 50 meters for 30 minutes, and still continue to have the OLED Retina that was able to go up to 1000 nits, which is perfect for outside viewing. Bluetooth technology did get improved on this one, as this one actually has integrations with Bluetooth 4.2. And this was indeed the first Apple Watch to receive an LTE connectivity option. You can tell if it was an LTE Apple Watch whenever you see that red dot on the digital crown. However, the storage capacity is the same as the previous Apple Watches, as this one does have 8 gigabytes of internal storage. But if you settle with the LTE version, you'll get double that storage capacity, as that one was able to have 16 gigs. This was the only Apple Watch that had those two different storage options. I wasn't really talked about as much. RAM storage, RAM also got a bump as well, as this one came close to being almost a gig, 768 megabytes of RAM. And this had the brand new Apple chipset, the S3, which happens to be a dual core. But personally, even with watchOS 8, this thing was extremely laggy. Sometimes was a headache to operate. But you did have modern day features like the accelerometer, heart rate sensor, gyro sensor, barometer sensor, as well as commands and dictation. And so for the Series 3, I'm gonna go ahead and drop it into rank D, just because it's just now becoming discontinued. Now the Series 4 is actually one of my personal favorite Apple Watches, because this was when Apple finally redesigned the boring square body look of the Apple Watch and smoothing down the edges and such. Because it was in 2018 was when this Apple Watch first got released and was available in the market in September. And it's still going to be supported by Apple, as watchOS 9 is fully compatible and supported for the Series 4. Series 4 is also water resistant up to 50 meters. And with the new body design, the screen is a little bit larger than previously, as now the screen size can go anywhere between 40 to 44 millimeters. The one you see here is the 44. Still has a Retina OLED display that can peak up to 1000 nits. Bluetooth 5 is actually integrated, which is still very modern. Storage has also been bumped to 16 gigs standard, and now has 1 gigabyte of internal RAM. And the chipset found in the Series 4 was the S4 chipset from Apple. Now this was the first Apple Watch that features the ECG technology, which is extremely unique and actually gave you haptic feedback on the digital crown. It also got additional software improvements, like the kids mode is fully compatible on the Series 4. So the Series 4 and newer Apple Watches all support kids mode. It has other safety features, like this was also the time we got introduced to fall detection, sleep tracking, hand washing timer, a decibel level monitoring, and of course built-in GPS. And then the heart rate sensor back here has been also improved, as this is now the 2nd generation heart rate sensor for more accuracy reading and better estimates of your calories that you burn during your workout. So putting the Series 4 Apple Watch, I'm gonna go ahead and rank this rank C. Keep in mind, C and above ranks means you're perfectly fine. There's really no reason to upgrade. And the Series 4, yeah, if it continues receiving software updates from Apple, this is definitely a really capable Apple Watch. Even the performance is really impressive, even on watchOS 8. It runs fluidly and can handle multitasking just fine, especially when you combo the decibel level reader. So, in this next one, we're covering both the Series 5 and the SE Apple Watch. The Series 5 came out first, as it was released back in 2019 in September, and then a year later, the Apple Watch SE was released. Now, both of these watches are going to be fully compatible for even watchOS 9. They're both water resistant up to 50 meters, and they both have the two identical screen size options available, like the 40 and the 44 millimeter. They both have OLED Retina displays that is capable of achieving 1000 nits at peak. Just however, the Series 5 was the only Apple Watch that had the LTPO hardware, which means this Apple Watch supports always on display, whereas the SE did not. But aside from that, its internal specs and everything else was 100% identical, excluding the ECG support. ECG was only available for the Series 5, which means both of these do have a built-in compass, which was new at that time, built-in GPS, and LTE version was indeed available. They both have the same storage capacity, 32 gigabytes and 1 gigabyte of RAM. Both share the same chipset as well, as both actually had the S5 chipset inside, so performance, they're identical. So both of these watches are fully capable to use modern day features like sleep tracking mode, kids mode, noise decibel level monitoring, heart rate monitoring with the new generation heart rate sensor, fall detection, hand washing mode. And for the budget version Apple Watch, the SE is not a bad looking Apple Watch, and it's built with the same quality that the flagship S5. So Apple did not cheap out with the S5, which is why I'm gonna go ahead and put the S5 on our tier list in rank B, and the Apple Watch SE, I'm gonna go ahead and put it in rank A, because it's just a fantastic value. For its price tag, you're getting a lot of features that even the main flagship Apple Watch, even at that time, was receiving, and it still is receiving new software features as well. That's why I have the SE above the S5. Now moving along, the Apple Watch Series 6. This was released in 2020 of September 18th. It's fully supported by Apple, as it does support the upcoming watchOS 9, of course. Water resistant up to 50 meters. Two screen choices available. So you have 40 and the 44 millimeter, and has the same display that's found on the Series 5. On the Series 6, so it does indeed have LTPO, which means always on display is available. Bluetooth 5 and GPS and an LTE version is available as well. And storage capacity remained the same, found on the Series 5. So 32 gigabytes and 1 gigabyte of RAM. It did receive the new S6 chipset, but many journalists and testers, even iFixit, confirmed that it will still indeed using the same processor chipset that was found on the Series 5 on the Series 6, just relabeled unfortunately. But it did have to be tweaked because this was the first Apple Watch that actually gave us the blood oxygen sensor. So it has everything the Series 5 has, like the new, just it had the new ultra-wide chip for locating your Apple devices. And was the first Apple Watch that gave us two new color choices to choose from, as now there was a cool blue, which is what we have here, and the cool product red Apple Watch. So aside from the blood oxygen sensor, there really wasn't much that got added on the Series 6 compared to the Series 5, which is a common theme you'll be seeing next. So on the tier list for the Series 6, I'm gonna go ahead and put the Series 6 in rank B, because again, it wasn't that much of a dramatic upgrade aside from the blood oxygen sensor. I think it deserves to be rank B. The relabel S5 chipset was a huge letdown, so that's why I'm ranking the Series 6 right there. Now lastly is the brand new Series 7 Apple Watch, which I'm wearing right here. This is indeed my daily driver, just like all these previous Apple Watches I feature once were. But the Series 7 was released last year in September of 2021, on October 5th of 2021. It literally has everything new that came out for the Series 6 on the Series 7, just with a new body redesign. As now, it is 1 millimeter larger, so the new smaller size Apple Watch was now a 44 millimeter, and the much larger is now a 45 millimeter, which is the one I'm wearing right now. It does have the LTPO hardware, which means always on display is indeed supported on this. Peak brightness is up to 1000 nits. It was the first Apple Watch to actually utilize this cool edge-to-edge display look, which is supported on some Apple Watches, as you can see right here. But this Apple Watch glass display was marketed to be the toughest Apple Watch glass display available in the market. I beg your differ, because I have a lot of scratches on this already, and I don't do hard construction. But this was the first Apple Watch to be finally IP6X certified, so this does have a true wire and dust resistant rating. And ECG recently got certified as well for the Series 7. But internal specs, it's very similar to the Series 6, as it does have 32 gigabytes of internal storage, which is a lot, which is more than enough to be honest. And it does have 1 gigabyte of RAM. So performance, it should perform identical to the Series 5, SE, Series 6, to the Series 7. So not much of an improvement in performance because, again, previous Apple Watch, the chipset found inside this one is the S7, which is a rebrand version of the Series 5. But it does have an accelerometer, gyroscope, heart rate sensor, barometer sensor, always on display, compass, blood oxygen sensor, ultra wide band, kids mode supported, sleep tracking, and this has the new fast charging feature. So with that said, putting it on our graph, I'm gonna give the S7, of course, I'm gonna rank it on top because it is the latest Apple Watch available in the market. There's really no reason to upgrade this. Even when the Series 8 is coming out in the near future, in the next couple of months, we should finally see it. Unless there's like a new health feature that got added, like the blood glucose monitoring, then I guess that'll be the valid reason to upgrade from the Series 7 to the Series 8. But looking at our list, yeah, anything above rank C and above, there's really no reason to upgrade. You have pretty much all the important modern day features. Anything below that, you definitely should upgrade. But yeah, for the Series 4, I mean, it's a really capable smartwatch. But rank B, A, and S, there's really no reason to upgrade your Apple Watch. Unless you just have to have the latest and greatest. And I'm sure many others can agree. It's like, there's really no reason. Especially from a far distance, it has the modern day Apple Watch body style. Sometimes it's really challenging for me to even tell the difference between the Series 6 and the Series 7. So once more, from far distance, they both look identical. But there you guys have it. That is the tier list of every single Apple Watch available in the market. And I hope that tier list was able to clarify a couple of things if you're curious if you should upgrade. So yeah, if you have a Series 3, it's time. The Apple Watch itself is going to become discontinued. I'm surprised it made it this far. But software support wise, you're going to have some issues with your iPhone. I would highly recommend save yourself the headaches and opt for something newer or trade in somewhere before it's too late. And if you're on a budget, the SE, honestly, is still a really great Apple Watch, and it's not bad looking and it doesn't feel cheap at all. So comment down below, what do you think about this graph? What's your thoughts? What Apple Watch do you think it's time to upgrade from? And what Apple Watch generation is unnecessary to upgrade to like the Series 7? Again, I say anything below rank D and below, you should probably consider upgrading. Anything above that list, you're perfectly fine. Aside from that, thank you so much for watching. If I helped you out in any single way, you know what to do. I'd really appreciate if you could actually leave the video a like, as those help me out a lot. And get subscribed, especially if you enjoy a lot of tech videos just like this. If you'd like to watch more Apple Watch stuff, maybe you're debating between two different size versions, go ahead and check out this video over here. So I cover the 45mm and the 44mm, and make sure you select the right size that fit you. And then that video over there is a very similar video, but that one's for the 40 and 44. Thanks so much for watching. Take care, and I'll catch y'all in the next one. See ya.